Hello and welcome to Somewhere on the Spectrum. Today I want to talk about justice sensitivity and more specifically coping with justice sensitivity. I actually had a totally different video all edited, planned, ready to go, uploaded and everything. And I had a meeting last night with the ladies group that I run for autism, and it became clear that the whole point of my video was entirely redundant. We were talking about black and white thinking, and I realized that actually I think black and white thinking affects us all quite differently and in quite unique ways. So we're probably gonna circle back to that, but it meant that my video was not really very relevant. However, we did get talking about justice sensitivity. I don't know if you've noticed, but the world's on fire. So I wanted to instead talk about justice sensitivity. I'm going to briefly go over a few things, but then I want to really focus on some coping mechanisms that we came up with as a group that you could perhaps put to use to help you deal with the situation. First of all, what is justice sensitivity? Justice sensitivity is when we feel that justice needs to be done. And for us, as autistic people, it's usually very, very clear what justice looks like, what is the right path. I think this is tied in with the black and white thinking because it's so clear to us. It's so obvious what the answer is. So I do think that sometimes it's about black and white thinking. We've got a clear view of what is the correct way. Sometimes we can understand that it's a very complicated situation. And the problem is not that they're doing something the wrong way, but that nothing is being done at all. This, not surprisingly, makes us rather uncomfortable in the current climate. I think the first thing to acknowledge is that these are not ordinary times. My favorite writer, Terry Pratchett, has a saying in his books, which is taken originally from a Chinese saying. And the saying is, may you live in interesting times. And in fact, although it sounds like a nice thing to say, it's actually a curse. Because the reality is none of us really wants to live in interesting times because it's far too stressful. But I feel like right now we're all living in interesting times. And for those of us who have justice sensitivity, that can make these times extremely stressful because what we see around us are hundreds of thousands of ways that the world needs to be better. And sometimes people are working on it, and sometimes it seems like nobody's working on it. And we can feel like we need to do all of it. I think maybe it's also relevant to consider whether, as autistic people, and I don't think it's just us at all, but I do think that there are some people, and perhaps it's a youth thing, I don't know. How many of you grew up wanting to change the world? Like if someone asked you, what do you want to do? Your answer would be make the world a better place. How many of you does that kind of sit for? For me, that was very definitely a part of my motivation as a younger person. And it took me probably into my 30s before I realized that I personally was probably not going to be able to do that. And this was like a really difficult thing for me to come to terms with because I so desperately wanted to be able to make the world a better place. And I have in small ways. There are measurable ways that I have made a difference in my life. Ultimately, while we can individually have an impact on the people around us, and perhaps we can do jobs that will make a difference, as an individual person, even someone as phenomenal as Greta Thunberg, she has definitely made a difference, but she's up against not good people. Even she, with everything that she's put into it, all of the energy, all of the intelligence, all of the community, there's a limit to what she can do. And there's certainly a limit to what we can do. I think as adult autistic people who potentially have ADHD and potentially have hit burnout, that also means that we have a lot less resources than the average human being might have. The world isn't going to change overnight. It's not going to suddenly become a better place. It's probably going to get worse. And if you do have pattern recognition, you have probably panned forward and backwards and seen the fork in the road and seen the options and are concerned about the future of the planet. Arguably. Seems fair. I'm laughing, but I recognize it's not a laughable situation. But if I'd rather not be crying. If that is your situation, then probably you're finding this really, really stressful. So I'm hoping that the things that I'm going to now get to are going to be some tools that you can use, things that you can think about, things that you can do. And please, 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 if you have any other solutions, strategies, things that you're actioning, let me know in the comments, because I think this is something we're all going to struggle with. So if you have additional things that you're doing that help you, please let us know in the comments and we can share them around and hopefully we'll all be able to make use of them. First things first, limit access. That means limiting your access to the news, to social media, to terrible stories of the world, to Mr. Trump specifically, perhaps your government. Not to say you don't want to learn anything, you don't want to know anything, but rather limiting your access, because our brains tend to get on a bit of a treadmill and we will not stop. Once you start scrolling, it's very hard to stop. So it might be that you need to give yourself a social media break. Terrifying concept. It might be that you need to limit your access, or perhaps you need to change where you focus. So for me, I started using Xiaohongshu, Red Note, and it's delightful over there. We still see the news, we still see all the stuff happening, but you can go off and you can look at Chinese buildings and silt and pretty birds and mountains and all kinds of stuff. It's a much more positive environment than a lot of our social media is set up to be. It's a lot more female friendly and it has a lot of translation features now. You still have to be very careful about your feed. You have to be careful about who you follow, what you tend to be looking at, and purposefully choosing to look at the good stuff so that your feed will pick up on it. But I would say the algorithm on Red Note is far kinder than our Western algorithm. If you want to still scroll, if you still find that really important for your dopamine, maybe consider switching to a different social media feed that can be a bit more positive for you. But generally, I would say limit your access. Knowing every stupid little thing that the carrot-faced idiot does is not going to make you better. And it's not going to help you. It's not going to help anybody. You need to be informed, yes. You don't need to be going crazy with this stuff. So number 2, meditation and mantra. It's really hard, I know, and it's really hard. Try and see if you can, search for it, find some videos that work for you. Mantra can be really good because if you get the right tone and the right mantra, your brain can be really happy with that. Or perhaps listening to someone else do the mantra, and it can help you stay in the meditation more easily. For us, just like empty your brain is not really an option. But remember, with meditation, it's actually not about emptying your brain. It's about coming back to the same point, whether that's breathing or watching your thoughts go by or whatever. And that can be really helpful, that practice, because for us, some of us at least, if you have ADHD, you might have trouble with impulsivity. So your meditation is a training for your brain to see the thing and not act on the thing. It is supposed to be difficult for us because we're so used to that impulsivity, just do it, get it, buy it. Whereas with the meditation, you see it, and the point is to, as soon as you noticed, come back to the breathing or whatever it is you're doing. So this can really help train your brain to not follow the exciting fluffy bunny. Number 3, therapy. If you have access to a therapist, make use of them. Make sure that you are with a therapist that you trust and who understands your autism. Looking for a therapist is a whole other thing, not to be covered today, but do make sure that you have a good therapist that you trust and that they know about your autism so that you're getting the right kind of therapy. Do tell them if you're struggling with this kind of stuff, because we kind of all are. Number 4, this one I think is really, really tricky. Try to think of the person thing that you're upset about from a different perspective. So if it's a particular person, try to think about somebody in the world loves that person and what might that person look like from their perspective. Perhaps you can know more about that person and feel some empathy for something that they've gone through in the past. This is a really tricky one for me. Figuring out how to put that person into a different perspective for you can help give you some distance from that person mentally so that you don't feel as about them all the time. I think the similar thing for things, we're going to come back to things in a second. Number 5, another one from therapist. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to put yourself before other things. Oprah Winfrey talks about filling your cup up first before you help everybody else, right? You give everybody else the overflow. You don't give them the contents of your cup. Similar when you're on the airplane, put your mask on first before you put everybody else's on. It's the same thing. If you don't have any energy, then you can't be of help to anyone else. Fill yourself up first, and then whatever's left over, you can use for your justice work or helping others or taking care of the kids or whatever millions of things it is that you have to do. Remember, it's okay to say no to anything. Think about what's right for you. Where do you have the energy? Where do you want to spend the energy? Where is it safe for you to spend the energy? And prioritize those things and practice saying no. It's not very easy to do, so good idea to practice. Number 6, try to find out more information. So this is similar to number 4 about looking at the person from a different perspective. This time we're talking about things. If you hear in the news all about something, first of all, understand that all of the media is affected by the need to sell us news. So they are trying to make things more sensational than they actually are. They're often lying about things. Yes, it's true. Even the BBC. Propaganda is a very, very real thing. And since in my country and America, we really don't get propaganda training, we're much more vulnerable to it than a lot of parts of the world that understand what it is and how to inoculate against it. With that in mind, then, find more information. So if there's a particular topic that really gets you going with your justice sensitivity, perhaps dig into it. Find more research. Find the experts. Read the books from the experts. Find the people who are actually affected by that thing. Find their stories. You might be able to find them online. For example, for me, understanding the whole trans debate, which is not really a debate, but there we go. A big part of my understanding of that has come from finding trans voices online so that I can hear from the horse's mouth what is happening, what's happening with them, how does it influence them? How do they feel? How does everything work? Intersex individuals are another group that we really need to follow online a lot more and support, because they are exactly the counterpoint to the silliness that is going on and causing a great deal of harm to the trans community. It also harms the intersex community. Finding those people who are directly affected by whatever it is that you're getting riled up about online to learn more about their situation, the truth, the reality of what it's like living with that situation, and also finding those real experts who will have written books, because everybody writes a book these days. So find those books, not just one. Don't obsess about one person. Try to find different voices on the topics. That can help you understand better, understand the complexities better. It can make you a stronger advocate, stronger ally, and at the very least, it means that you're better informed than you were before. And sometimes it can mean that what you think is a simple issue, you understand to be a complicated issue, and that can make it easier to cope with the fact that nothing seems to be happening. Number 7, pick your battles. There are many things that need to be done. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be a part of some of the solutions. You cannot be a part of all of the solutions. So choose the ones that are important to you. Choose the ones that you can do things about. And if you reach a limit where there's nothing further you can do, then we got to practice the meditation and the other things so that you can back away from that thing and practice not thinking about it, thinking about other things, distracting yourself so that you can live your life, even though it's maybe not a perfect situation, but you've done everything you can. And unfortunately, we have to understand that sometimes we've done all we can and we need to back away from the situation. So pick your battles, preserve your energy, focus on the few things that you can do where you can make a difference, and don't try and do everything because you can't. It's not going to work. Number 8, be you. This is easy. I think it's really important for us to be ourselves and to try as hard as possible to be ourselves in public and perhaps even online. This is something I personally find very difficult, and I'm trying to do more of, because I feel like people have taken our voice and they are now saying things about our community that are incorrect and ill-informed out of fear, mostly. So I feel like we need to be out there a little bit more. And the thing is, a lot of people want the world to be very simple. They want to be able to put things into boxes. And the reality is the world is a very, very complex place, and we don't fit into boxes. And I think our simple existence is evidence of the fact that you can't put people into boxes. So simply existing is actually a form of fighting back, of demanding justice for yourself and for everybody else, and demanding your complexity, being allowed to be a complex human being, because the world needs to understand that this is not a simple situation. We are each very different and unique, and there is good and value in that uniqueness as well, in that complexity. So use your complexity. Also, you can use your complexity to help you have empathy for other people and other situations. You know, if you see something and your motivation or the media around it is saying this is a very simple issue, we should be sorting it out, remember that you are a complex individual, and therefore so is this person, or perhaps this case. You have many things going on, you have a history, you have all sorts of stuff happening. So does that person, situation, thing also. So you can use that as, I know I'm complex, that's probably complex too. And perhaps that will give you some curiosity to find out more about that complexity. Finally, take time out. It is okay to stop. It's okay to say, no, I'm done for today. It's okay to say, no, I'm done. I'm done. I'm just going to deal with my little corner, work with my kids, my pets, my interests, whatever it is. It's okay to check out. I was an extremely active volunteer and then volunteer manager. That was a huge part of my life for 10 years. And I gave a huge amount of my energy to the point that I burnt out because of all of the energy that I put into that. I was extremely passionate about it. I can't do it anymore because I've run out. There's no more energy left. And that burnout basically ended my ability to continue to do that work, which isn't great, which isn't good. I have had to find other ways that I can get involved and get engaged. This is one of them. It's okay to say, I'm done with that project. I've come as far as I can with this thing. I have run out of energy today, and stop. Save your energy, take breaks, focus on the good things, delight in small things, enjoy the people, animals, things, nature around you, and allow yourself to relax, whatever that means to you. You don't have to hold up the world. We're all in this together, literally. We're here on this little blue dot all together. This is everybody's job to get this better, not just you. You are not alone. You are definitely not alone if you are really stressed out about the current state of the world. Trust me, there are a lot of us who are very, very stressed out right now. I don't have any answers for you. I don't have any solutions for you, but you're not alone. Take a deep breath, go touch grass, find an animal. That kind of thing. Have a great day. I hope this was useful. If you find my videos useful, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any things that you're doing to manage the current situation for yourselves, please do drop them in the comments, because it's really helpful for all of us to know. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.